November in Wales is really nostalgic for me, and probably a lot of other people, because this time of year, a lot of people are battening down the hatches for winter and getting a bit depressed because the nights are so long. All the leaves are falling down, the usual winter thing. But for me, I always got excited in November because there was a massive event that happened in these woods around here, which sadly we don't get anymore. And that is Rally GB, or the Lombard RAC, or the Network Q RAC Rally, whatever you want to call it. It was a big thing for me growing up. And there were some cars that you'd see when I was growing up in, like, say in the 90s. There were some cars that were lining the stage as you walked in, with little teddies in the back of Scooby-Doo. I think I've just given it away there. There's one thing missing. This is what I need. A jacket. And there's the car. Better. Everyone had one of these back in the day, especially if you had a Subaru. You needed a jacket, like I said, a Scooby-Doo teddy. What else did you need? Some mud flaps, an air horn, because that is another nostalgic noise for me, is the air horns going off on Rally GB when, well, nearly every car came through, but especially if someone like McRae came through, Burns came through, any of the British drivers, the horns would go mad. Fireworks going off if it was at night, or even if it was at day. I think I was on the side of a stage once, and I think he was a Polish guy, he had two pipes in his hand and he shoved rockets in them, and he just stood next to us, lit them and fired them out of his hand. I thought it was flipping unreal. But that's how extreme it was. Everybody flipping loved it, you know, and it was just like a massive party in the woods, and I miss that. I think everyone misses that, to be honest. Anyway, let's get back to the car. This is a 1998 Subaru Impreza RX Type RA, version 5 I think it is. Some of my specs and knowledge might not be exactly accurate because it's very complicated with Subarus, because there's so many different versions, so many different types. They made loads of limited editions. So if any of my knowledge is slightly incorrect, you're welcome to put it in the comments and tell me what is the right thing. But I mean, I've been around these quite a long time, so I know how they work, I know how they drive, but some of the little informations that I'm not quite 100% on, I think I know them, but if I don't, then just correct me. That's totally fine. There was lots of Subarus, like I just said, but if you wanted the proper one, the homologation one, it would be this one, the Type RA, which stood for Rally Altered. Later on, they changed that to Record Attempt, because they did some kind of Nürburgring thing, but the original ones were Rally Altered, and it was the GC8 is what the car number is. GC8 is what the build number was called. This isn't the early one, this is the second facelifted version. So the early RAs, or Subarus, they had slightly different headlight, slightly different bumpers and things like that. But you can see that from what we're pointing out. But what's special about the RA? That is what we want to know, isn't it? So I'll walk around and show you actually. There's one thing that's obvious there, it's that little thing at the top. This little letterbox here, look. Roof vent. Do we need them? Not really. But this is what they, all the homologation cars had. So you can tell an RA instantly from having its roof vent. Under the bonnet, we've got the Boxer, the mighty Boxer flat 4 engine. Very hard to do plugs on these. Like, all your knuckles will be knackered because they're right down the side there. You need to take the airbox off and all sorts of things. You need to take the battery off that side. It's a pain in the ass really, but yeah, Boxer engine. You can tell an STI usually because it's got ginger hair on top there, the red inlet manifold. The RAs had these carbon fibre strut braces, very rare. You can see them coming up for sale now and again, and people are demanding big money for those. Some of them have a closed deck block, some of them have a semi-closed deck block. You can tell by the webbing on the heads. I can't really show you that because it's right in. That's the thing about the Boxer engine, it's quite deep in there. But that noise, again, that iconic Boxer noise is again nostalgic for a lot of people, because hearing those Boxer engines coming through the woods just got you excited. Well, it got me excited anyway, but I'm weird. Aluminium bonnet, pretty sure aluminium wings on the RA. Aluminium boot, again for lightweight. Some of them had lightweight glass in them. Don't know if this one did. I know the earlier one did, had lightweight glass, and the earlier one had wind-up windows. Now I don't know if that was an option or not. This has got electric windows because it's the later one, but the early ones had wind-up windows. I think you could get a cage in some of them as well. Dash Dodger around there, which weren't great, and I think they banned them from competition anyway. You're not allowed to use them. You're not allowed a bend in that part of the cage. So first, have a look down here. This is called a driver control center differential. Now, not all the Subarus had these. This was an RA thing. So what that does is it sends different percentages to the diff, so it controls that. You can also put it on open so that the diffs are open. It's like an electromagnet inside, and they're open, and you can just drive normally, and then you can set it then to 1, 2, 3, 4, I think, different settings, different percentages. And you can fully lock it as well, so all the diffs are locked. So you can have, yeah, depending on the stage, depending on how you want to drive, you can set it different ones. I mean, for driving around on the main road, you're probably best off on the first setting, really, just to slightly locked, and yeah, it's more of a rally thing, that. But it's there to fiddle with and see what you like. It does clunk around a lot when you've got the diffs engaged, which for everyday driving is probably a bit, you probably think it's broken when you drive it, but it isn't. What else? We've got the vent, obviously. We've talked about that. We all love the vent. We've got a plaque here with a limited number on. There's so many Subarus that have got these different plaques in and stuff like that. So yeah, it's hard to say which one it is. You've got an RB5, you've got Catalunya, you've got Terzo, you've got V Limited, which we've got in the workshop. I'll show you the plaque in that at some point. You've got these RAs, which are 555 limited edition. There's so many different ones, but it's the RA ones with the diff and the roof vent is the one you want. That is the limited edition one. That is the valuable one, if you like. Now, I know we all associate McRae with Subarus, don't we? But by the time this version came out, 98, 99, McRae had actually left. So he was with Ford then. So it was Bernsey, Juha Kankkunen, I think Bruno Thierry was driving for them then. So yeah, Colin McRae had gone, even though he's iconic with this car. They do go hand in hand, but more of the classic shape, the early one. I think he was there in 97, wasn't he? He was there in 98, he left in 99. So just as this was coming out, he was just about going. So on this side, we've got a really annoying beep. There, I'll hold it in. I'll hold that little doors thing in there, look, so it doesn't beep for you. So in this side we've got water spray for the intercooler, so it sprays a little bit of water on the intercooler to keep it cool. You can press it there if you want to just squirt it yourself, or if you press that in, it'll do it automatically. And you'll see a little light on the dash coming on, and it'll be telling you that it's squirting. We've got different pedals, got nice STI pedals. We're not going to abuse this car too much because it isn't actually mine, it's lent to me by a good friend, so thank you, G, for that. Maybe you'll get a customer out of it if you want to sell it, or keep it and just let me hoon around in it. With these Subaru limited editions, they're all basically the same seat, but they just recover them, and this RA had these blue ones. Some of them had tiger stripes on them, some of them had different colour middles, but they were all basically the same seat. It's just, yeah, each limited edition had a different style or different cover. Like my V Limited has got like a crest there with like the World Championship thing. And I think there's Series McRae. Actually, the Series McRae did have a different seat in it because it had a fishnet Recaro, so I lied completely then. They had a special seat in them. But yeah, that is a quick walk around of an RA, Type RA Impreza. This is my favourite one by far. This is the one I'd want. Either an early one, the shape just before this, or this one is what I would like in my collection. Because this is the boy. 4-pot brakes, they're like the gravel brake that we have on our rally cars. They're really good. And again, single pot on the back, but they're what we use on the rally cars. So if they're good enough for the rally car, good enough for the road car. I reckon we go and drive it. What do you reckon? I reckon we go and drive it around. We'll show you how it drives. So one thing I haven't talked about is what it's like to drive an RA Impreza. Now, if you had one of these as an everyday car, you would probably get a bit fed up of it, I'll be honest, because it's very clunky on the road. The diffs are always clunking around underneath you, and the gearbox is so close. Sometimes if I'm not concentrating, I'll just throw it into a gear and hope that one of them will carry me along, because they're so close. You can literally put it in any gear and it'll drive like normal. So practically, it's probably not the most practical car, but they're so much fun. And if you don't want it for that, really. You don't want to be going around to the shops and things in it. You can, but that's not what it's for. It's for driving properly. But you could put the shopping in the back. There's plenty of room. Subarus are, you've got to be on the ball with the Subaru, because if you plant it into a corner quite fast, they will understeer a lot. So they'll understeer before they oversteer. So you've got to get that into your head. You've got to trust that it'll only understeer for a certain amount of time, and then the back will take over, and then you can power it round the corner. Especially when rallying it on a gravel stage, that is very much what it is like to drive. If you can get your head around that bit, then they're a pleasure to drive. All cars have different characteristics, don't they? But that's just the characteristics of a Subaru. But I love them. They're not the lightest car in the world, obviously, for a homologation special, but it's a saloon homologation special, so it's quite a big car, so it's going to be reasonably heavy. It's got a four-wheel drive system to drag around. 280 odd horsepower. I think it's 280 or 260. Pretty sure it's 280 horsepower. So that's quite a lot, you know. There's not much turbo lag in it. There is a tiny bit, but nothing like an old-fashioned Cosworth or anything like that. It's a lot more responsive than that. But you can tune them. Loads of people tune in these. You know, they were everywhere once upon a time, Subarus. It's just the RA is just that much better than all the others. So if you tune an RA, you're only going to make it better, really. You know, for me, I love homologation specials, and I think the dream would be just have a garage full of homologation cars. That way I can just pick which one I want, whether it be a lightweight French car or a turbocharged Japanese beast. I mean, before the Impreza, Subaru were like famous for farm vehicles. The Subaru Brat or the MV, that was just, that's pretty much all they had. They did have other things, obviously, but the legacy, starting out a bit of rallying, they didn't rally that for long. They jumped onto the Impreza then, and that just made them, you know, that made them famous, really. Colin McRae did that. Quick steering rack as well, I forgot to say about that. And these Subarus, the special edition Subarus, always had a quick steering quick steering rack, which you can instantly tell it makes such a difference. It's so, you can point it and it'll go wherever you want it to go. Very responsive. Brakes are really good as well, considering it's on the smaller gravel brakes. I mean, as far as competition goes, it's classed as the smaller brake, but on a road car, I would say that is the perfect brake. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed making it because I've been driving a Subaru around all day. If I've said anything wrong, like I've said before, just comment and let me know. I am quite happy to hold my hands up if I'm wrong. I just literally like driving stuff, and I think I should share it with everybody as just another little bit to our channel. These test drives are just a little extra thing that we're working on. A day in the RA. So there is somewhere I'm going with this episode. Obviously I wanted to drive a homologation special to add to the theme of the channel. So recently the FIA have announced that cars up to 1999 are eligible for historic paperwork. So they will be a historic car, a bit like the Escort Mark II is, and the Chevettes and things like that. Now we've got another generation of cars, the 90s cars, like the Subaru, the Evo, the early Evos. So anything up to 99 is technically now a historic rally car. And as you know, you might have seen in the background, we've got a few of these. We've got some earlier ones. We got two earlier GC8s, which are rally cars, which now are historic legal. So what I'm thinking is maybe we could build a historic rally car. I'm thinking probably a Group N historic rally car, because building a full Group A one of these is a lot of money and some of the bits are really hard to find. So I think a nice car would be, yeah, Group N, historic Group N Subaru with one of the ones that we've got in the workshop, which I won't introduce you to on this episode, but in a future episode I'll bring them in. But that is a bit where I'm going with this episode. We're driving what is now a historic car. That might scare some people because it might make them feel old, but it was about time. You know, we need to change it up. It's got to move with the times. Not everyone's happy about the fact that these are becoming historic because they feel like they're probably a bit too fast, and it's really hard to police it because you can make them really fast with big turbos and all sorts of things. So it'll be a job to police it on rallies, but I don't know, make it work. I think it would be good. So yeah, like and subscribe, because that is a really important thing which I always forget to say. And yeah, thank you to G for letting us use his GC8. This is a lovely example. It's an imported car, very clean underneath, and I've really enjoyed driving it today, so thank you. See you on another episode, and I want someone to find some more homologation specials. If someone can find me some more homologation specials to drive, that would be very, very cool. Thank you and goodbye.